Alright, so I recently picked up a job framing. I mostly do concrete work, but I have done framing in the past, and then I'll just share my tool belt setup and kind of how it differs more from concrete, because I have more experience in concrete. But again, I'll start from right to left. So, a nail bar or a cat's paw. No matter how good you are at framing, you'll occasionally put nails where you shouldn't put it. And also, this comes in handy a lot for prying, so there's no shame in carrying one of these. A wood awl or a scratch awl, very good for using with a chalk line, so you can snap lines by yourself, and then also it has other uses as well. A pencil for obvious reasons, but an ink marker or a Sharpie, that works really well. Not necessarily for wood products, but for teleposts. Okay, so a nail set. This is better for the final details when it comes to framing, to pound nail heads in, like when you're installing windows or you're putting in pre-hung doors or whatever. This also comes in handy too, just a hard punch for when your nail gun jams, so you can punch the pin back into the gun to unjam it. An X-Acto knife for obvious reasons, for cutting poly or Tyvek or building wrap, you know, or sharpening your pencil. A chisel. So this is a 1-inch beveled chisel, and it was fairly cheap, so just something I can hammer on. But each time I use this, I tape it back up so it doesn't cut the inside of my bags, and then also it protects the edge of this chisel, because if you touch a nail or any kind of steel with the edge of a chisel, it's going to ruin your edge. A bit extension again. So this is impact rated, so I can use it in an impact, so it comes in handy a lot. And it seems like, at least in my area, screws are becoming more common in framing than nails. Electrical tape. I use that for the chisel. And then also, if somebody cuts through their cord, you can fix it. And then also, this is a makeshift bandage. If you ever cut yourself with your X-Acto knife or whatever, you can quickly seal yourself up so you aren't bleeding everywhere. Had to do that a couple times. Hammer loop. Hammer loop and hammer. I always run my hammer loops in the back because I just don't like a hammer hitting me in the side of the knee. And to keep it from hitting me in the back of the legs, usually what I'll do, you'll see two holes here in the fabric. I'll put 5/8 plywood in the back of this and screw it through the cloth into the plywood, just with a 1-inch screw, and this will offset this, so even if you're moving at a pretty good pace, it won't slap you in the back of the knee, which I really like. So I don't always carry a crescent wrench, but what I will carry is a skill saw wrench. Okay, so this will work on basically all brands of skill saws to change the blade out. If you're on a fairly big job and you're going to be doing a lot of cutting, you're going to be changing your blade every day or two, so that comes in handy a lot more. And I rarely use a crescent wrench, so why carry it if I don't need it? A glazing bar. So I don't use this for window installation, I use it for other things. I keep this scraper edge razor sharp so I can scrape wood in very, very small increments or small amounts, so I can fit something super tight, and that comes in handy. A speed square, for obvious reasons. You know, you have a 90 degree and you have a 45, but you also have your rafter tables here for your hip and valley rafters and your common, and you also have the conversion. If you know how to use one of these, this is an excellent tool. A chalk line. So I said in my other video that concrete is very hard on chalk lines. Framing really isn't as hard on chalk lines, I find. depending on the area. If you get these things wet, it clumps up the chalk inside and it'll jam your gears or break your line, and that's no good. So a good quality chalk line is a must because you're going to be snapping a lot of lines. And last but not least, a tape measure. So I run a combination tape, but where I am, framing is mostly done in imperial units. But some of the shop drawings for the materials like telepost and stuff like that are given in metric. So it really helps out to have a combination tape for both. So that's just kind of what I carry and what I find works really well for me. So generally, I find when you're framing, you don't have as many heavy tools, but you didn't get off that easy because you're going to be loading these down with gun nails. So it kind of balances out. But it is pretty similar, but there is some different tools that are more exclusive to framing and woodworking.